Sure. Just quick update on, the team where we're at. Drew Drennan's still working through a concussion, and really his availability doesn't have much to do with me. It's more of a medical decision from doctors and trainers. So right now it's kind of in their hands. They kind of test him every day, and at some point he will be cleared to continue to work his way back towards competition. Right now, he has not been cleared to practice and hasn't practiced, obviously. So at this point, I'm just kind of waiting. That could mean he's available Saturday. That could mean he's not available for several more Saturdays. I think it's just depending on his symptoms and how he's kind of reporting those and kind of the things and signs that he shows. So that's where he stands. Everybody else, I don't want to misspeak here. Everybody else is healthy and good to go. And right now, we're really just getting prepared for Utah State, who is a terrific basketball team. They remind me a lot in different ways of last year's Boise team. Just a veteran-oriented, experienced, older group of guys that play really well together. And surrounded by really an NBA prospect in Keita. The kid is terrific, and the more you watch him on film, you just can't be you can't ignore the impact he has on the game. He's an NBA prospect in my mind. Just the more you watch of him, his size, his ability to change shots defensively and control the game at that end of the court, and then obviously the things he can do offensively. His game against Colorado State, he did some things that were exceptional. So he's a terrific player. Everybody already knows how good Merrill is. He's an all-conference talent, was obviously great against us last year. So to kind of have that inside-outside balance with him, coupled with some really good three-point shooters that are shooting the ball really well right now, you can see why they're the 40th ranked team in the country. And I know the Mountain West has maybe kind of taken some heat this year over the competitiveness of the conference, but they're right there. They're good. I think they're right on the bubble of the NCAA tournament, and deservedly so. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of like last year's Boise team, who I thought was pretty much that same level kind of team. So our work is cut out for us. We are dug right into them as deeply as we can possibly be to give ourselves hopefully the best chance we can Saturday to come out, play really well, and give ourselves a chance to win the basketball game. And we took yesterday off, and today we're back on the court, and hopefully we'll continue to grow. Obviously the Vegas game was not the result that we wanted, but we're just going to kind of keep chipping away with these guys, with this team, and hopefully find, I don't even want to say the right recipe, because, and I've said that a lot, but more of like a consistent recipe. We show what we want to do in flashes. We've just yet to do it consistently, be it game to game or even within a game, where we can be the kind of team that we want to be and compete in the Mountain West. And that's just kind of where I guess things are going, and our roster. So any questions?
Coach, not a difficult question. Just paint the picture realistically of what you see in front of you and how to get there, desires, and where you are development-wise.
Yeah.
What's that real positive scenario?
You know, it's probably changed a lot since the season began, as I've learned more about players individually, more about this team. I probably went in with some expectations, went in with some thoughts about us as a group or individual players that you recruit or you bring here or you train with in the summer and the fall. But I think as our season has kind of unfolded, I've learned a lot of things about them or us and them that I probably didn't know previously or just didn't see emerging the way that it has. And I've tried to manage that and work with that the best I can, both as a team, how we play, things that we do, and then also individually some of these guys and their personalities and behaviors and styles of things. And I think that picture just hasn't quite been painted yet. I might have had an idea of how that picture was supposed to be painted, but as it's unfolded, I've realized that maybe that wasn't the appropriate way to try and paint it. And I'm trying to manage that and adjust that, both as a team, stylistically and organizationally, and then also the individual components that make that up, and how to coach them and how to teach them and how to get the most out of them. And admittedly, that's something not necessarily I expected to this extent. It's humbling, it's new, but that's not going to abstain me from trying to continue to work at that and find that right puzzle picture, however you want to kind of say it, to where hopefully it is all there. It's just up to me or us to kind of figure out how to put it all together.
Only 4 turnovers in the second half against UNLV, which speaks to the ball control. But
yeah.
Only 6 assists for the game.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain that in basketball terms, to how the guard play is affecting the way you guys play?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it kind of going into a lot of games. I think like speed on the perimeter gives us issues and has given us issues throughout the season. That's something that we've tried to work around with zone. We've tried to work around with bigs. We're trying to work around in a lot of different ways, and we will continue to do that. Part of that stuff I think we can manage and we can work around. Part of those things maybe we haven't learned, or I haven't learned, or we haven't done enough to continue to manage that. And we've just got to keep working on it. There's really, unfortunately, nothing we can do at this point other than, hey, we have who we have, we are who we are, and we've just got to continue to tinker with what we have to make it the best it can be. At times, obviously, when we're not going against these faster, quicker, smaller guards, it looks a lot easier. And then when you go out and kind of go against teams that have that, and Vegas has 3 exceptional ones, it just puts pressure on us in certain areas, and we've got to get better at handling that, and then also find better ways to counter it as well.
Well, with the perimeter, you look at McQuaid, he's playing a little bit more of the 3 on the outside. It's easy for people to look at the box score and see his offensive numbers. How do you feel he's playing overall, and then how can he get going on?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I spoke with him yesterday at length. We're trying, we're talking. He's actually in a pretty good place. There's no, silver bullet or like something underneath all this where it's like, hey, let's do this, and now all of a sudden you're going to have this magical season. I think even he admits that it just hasn't maybe gone the way he's expected, but it's out of nothing by design or nothing externally or nothing that's really gone on where it's like, oh, okay, boom, we can change this, and now all of a sudden he's going to have the year that he had last year. He's halfway through his sophomore year, or I guess 2/3 of the way now, whatever it is, and he just hasn't quite had the year that he had last year. It's obviously affected him. It's affected us, particularly at the offensive end. He's never been a dynamic defensive player. He's been kind of had a great offensive year last year. He was, I think, our second best offensive rating, and unfortunately this year just hasn't been able to kind of maybe make those same shots or get in that same groove. He's shown some flashes in some games, but for us to be good offensively, we're going to need him. We don't have enough depth overall or just even experience and wherewithal overall, particularly offensively, to withstand him not being a great offensive threat for us. So I'm hopeful here at some point he'll get that groove back and be a consistent player night in and night out that we're going to need from him.
So you recognize that other teams are defending Mathis, but you also had hoped that the way they're defending him, it would open things up for the other 4 guys on the court. It hasn't kind of translated.
Yeah.
So now do you have to kind of modify your strategy offensively and just kind of force him into the mix? Because, I mean, his scoring average has gone down, I would think, dramatically in the last 4 games or whatever, and the team's probably average scoring has gone down in the last 4 games. You guys did it against Wyoming, and it did, kind of stop them with the Justin James guy, and it worked, that would, conversely now, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. We watch film on it every day. It's kind of the way we get guarded now. You face guard Anthony Mathis, and you make other guys beat you, and it gives a lot of great one-on-one play for other players on our team. And as much as we need Anthony, he's also utilizing that to really open up the game for a lot of other guys. And at some point, we're going to need them to be able to capitalize on that. We can't go into a game saying, well, they're going to guard Anthony this way, but we're going to go get it to him anyways all the time. We need some offensive balance. We need the game to open up a little bit, and it just can't be on Anthony's shoulders every night to carry that, whether they were guarding him that way or not. And the fact that they are guarding him that way is opening up the floor for a lot of other guys. I mean, if you watch the Vegas game, we had some great looks at the basket by a lot of guys that at some point, hopefully, we're going to be able to get those to go down. Then maybe they won't be able to guard Anthony the same way, and then our whole offense kind of grows from there. But right now, the recipe against us is to just try and take him out of the game and make other players beat you. And those other players are right now continuing to work through that a little bit. We practice it every day, him getting face guarded and all the different reactions and things that we can do. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to kind of make shots consistently from some of those other areas.
You know, depending on any team, you're either a road team or you're both a home team. Based upon what you've seen from your guys' personalities and everything, do you think you guys are better home team than a road team, or does it?
You know, so far I haven't really found anything. I've had some people tell me some things about what we may or may not be at home, but I was very encouraged early in the year on the road. You know, we opened the season with a road win. We went to Bradley and got a road win. We went to, Air Force in conference and kind of got a road win. So we've done some things on the road that are encouraging, but we've also had some real unfortunate games on the road as well. I mean, some really wide margins of defeat. So on the road, I can't really give you a good answer. At home, I think we've been just as inconsistent there. Obviously, you have a game like you did against Nevada, and then you've had a lot of other disappointing ones along the way. So I've looked at it both ways. I haven't really been able to find anything so far. I think the rest of the season will hopefully give us more of a picture of that and kind of see where that happens to go.
Coach, when you have McGee on the floor at the same time as Mathis, what are your numbers telling you about the efficiency of that duo?
Yeah, good right now. It's a really small sample size just because Keith really only recently has kind of emerged or gotten the opportunity to do what he's done or a combination of both, I guess. And our offensive points per possession, they're two of the top 4 guys. So we know them being on the court is good for our offense. And finding other options outside of Anthony, as Joe kind of alluded to, is something we need to do. And Keith's probably done the best job of that as far as a guy that can really one-on-one go create, go make a play, go make things happen. And as a sophomore, with his kind of experience to have that, it's encouraging. You know, I feel really good about what he's going to be and what he can kind of grow into here as a player. And he doesn't have a ton of experience. You know, he didn't play a ton his freshman year at junior college. There were some things that kind of happened, and he played later in the year and had a terrific finish to his season. But you're not talking about a guy with a lot of games and reps under his belt. So for him to be kind of doing the things he's doing offensively is encouraging, not only for the short term, but also for the long term as well.
It takes that question about Mathis being the point guard.
Yeah, no, I think even independent of them maybe playing together, Keith's at the point now where he's just warranting minutes anyways, so he needs to be on the court right now offensively for us, and that would inevitably include Anthony as well, just because Anthony is going to, have to be on the court for us as well. So Keith's, it's not maybe as much about a combination as much as like, hey, he's put himself to a point where he needs to be on the court, period, and then we'll kind of watch those numbers as they go, but right now they're obviously pretty good.
You've been talking about turnovers and defending the three-point line for a while, and obviously it didn't go that well with UNLV. They had 23 points over 14 turnovers,
yep,
and they made 14 shots from you in the arc.
Yep.
Is there something specific that you're trying now to see if you can even get some kind of improvement for the next couple of days?
Yeah, the threes, to be honest with you, you're right. We've talked a lot about defending it, and we've spent a lot of time on it this year. To quite honestly, in the UNLV game, we probably didn't have the same emphasis. Their guards' ability to really get to the paint, they scored a tremendous amount of points in the paint on us in game one. We really wanted to change that. We did. I thought we actually have more points in the paint than they did, and we were really trying to keep those guards from hurting us around the rim and getting in there the way they did in game one. So there was less of an emphasis on the threes. They made a lot of threes against Air Force and still kind of lost. Like, we didn't necessarily think, we thought maybe allowing them to make contested threes wasn't going to be a backbreaker for us as much as it was allowing those guards to really penetrate our defense, get inside and hurt us the way they did in game one. So the threes was something I've talked a lot about, but going into the Vegas game, we felt the dribble penetration might have been a bigger threat to us than the threes. As far as the turnovers go, that has nothing to do with, an opponent. That's something we're constantly working on. And gosh, as a coach, it's pretty much challenged every single thing I can ever think of. The amount of coaches that I call or people that I talk to or ideas I can create in order to try and, cut down on those. But, we walked in at halftime and it was 15-2. And I think we were down, I'm going to say 12 at half. And it's like, guys, this is the whole statistic. They have 15 points off turnovers and we have 2. And it's a 12-point game. And other than that, I thought we actually played a pretty decent half. I thought we did some good things defensively. They had some guys shoot above some percentages in some different ways, but that's going to happen. It was the turnovers that really knocked out the game. And, we made a run a little bit in the second half, and then the run went away from us. But to spot somebody 13 points basically off of turnovers in 20 minutes on the road in conference play is really hard to overcome. You want to feel like you have a team that can overcome that, but the reality is we haven't really shown that type of just quality of being of team to say, hey, we're going to be able to overcome that and win the game anyways. We just don't have that kind of margin for error.
You talked last week about Bragg, some things you've been working on with him. Last 2 games he's been big under the basket, really getting in that position. Has that been by design with something that he's been doing, what you guys have been working on with him, and how have you seen that impact the rest of the offense?
Yeah, I think, Carlton is, he's such a talented player. I think everybody can see it. But like I talked to him about it last night. I talked to him before the last game. He didn't play a ton in 2 years when he was at Kansas. Obviously didn't play the following year. Didn't play half of this year. I mean, the poor kid hasn't played a lot of basketball in 3+ years. And you can see the talent, but sometimes you just got to play games and you got to get reps under your belt and you got to get in foul trouble and learn your lesson and you got to do this and you got to do that. And I think he's just kind of going through that. And I'm sorry for him that his first 3.5 years went the way that they did, but there's nothing we can do about that now. All we can do now is say, hey, let's just use these as learning opportunities and growth opportunities every day. And the 2 quick fouls at the beginning of the game is something that maybe he could have learned as a freshman somewhere, but he didn't because he was never in that role. He never had that responsibility. He never, went through kind of some of the things he's going through right now. And I'm excited for him. I'm excited that he is getting to go through these right now, but he's got so much expectations put on him, either from himself or, externally, that every game seems like it has to be a home run. And unfortunately, I just don't know if he's got the reps under his belt to be able to do that night in and night out. He'll show his flashes, he'll do his stuff, but with him, I think it's just every game is like a huge bonus to just get him more repetitions of playing 25 minutes in a basketball game, which he just has never been able to do at the college level.
With the situation going, the season started, everybody had these high expectations. And your guys, what do you say to them, or how do you keep them up, considering how things have gone? And do you have enough self-starters to where that might not be an issue, that you got enough guys who are just like, hey, let's go to the next thing, let's get to the next thing?
Honestly, I probably would have answered that question different ways as this season has unfolded, and just based on these guys. I've never really felt confidence was a big thing for these guys. Unfortunately, at times, to be honest with you, I think the times we've gone in to games and feeling alert and feeling a little like, uh-oh, these guys might be better than us or whatever, we've actually responded pretty well. I think, unfortunately, with these guys, they're young. They've had stars beside their names. They've been thought and different things about themselves, or even told to themselves by others, that they may have a more inflated opinion of what the reality happens to be. So that will be my more common answer, that I don't have to worry about that. But then we'll go through games at times and I'll see some of that start to emerge. Like, uh-oh, maybe there is a confidence issue here. So that's something I've been balancing, something that I wish I had a really straight answer for, but right now I don't. I would still lean towards the fact that this team doesn't have a confidence issue. It has probably a maturity issue or an experience issue of understanding their place and what goes into actually winning. But like I said, there have been times where I look at guys and go, man, that kid's struggling right now, maybe feeling good about himself. So that's something I'll continue to weigh and just do the best I can with trying to get this team ready to play.
Coach, knowing that you scored more points in the paint in that basketball game the other night, is Bragg getting enough touches, though? Because a lot of his points came off of him just being a...
For sure, agreed. Probably not, but unfortunately, his offensive points per possession individually are really low, and our turnover rate is really high when he's in. So we're trying to balance how the best way to get him the ball is, because there's times we're trying to get him the ball and it doesn't work out well, and we've got to find effective and efficient ways to get him those touches, because there's times we want to get him a touch and it turns into a pick six, or there's time we want to get him a touch and he gets it into a bad area and he feels like he has to shoot and takes a bad shot. So like, we're still trying to find that rhythm of getting him the ball in the right places in the most efficient ways, where we're not just force feeding it in a way that's ineffective for us and for him, to be quite honest.
Coach, what kind of athletes do you have? Do you have thoroughbreds? Sometimes you think, I'm just going to let them run, or encourage them. Not street ball.
Yeah.
Let's get out and run and beat the other guys to the hoop. Do you have that kind of athlete?
Yeah, we want to be that way. We want to give a lot of freedom. That was the way we played last year offensively. We gave the guys a lot of freedom. We shared the basketball. It was equal opportunity is probably the wrong word, but it was equitable in the way that everybody got to touch the ball and everybody felt a part of what we did. And we started out the year that way. And then based on how it was going, we got away from that a little bit. And I got to more other things that I thought the team kind of needed. We've tried to kind of work our way back towards a more team-oriented offense, particularly over the last week or so. But that hasn't necessarily translated into this amazing change. That doesn't mean we give up on it, but that's something I'm continuing to monitor as well. Like what is our best mode offensively that's going to give us the best chance to be a good and offensive team? And unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for that right now. I'd like it to be what you said, but unfortunately, so far, that hasn't necessarily translated into the type of offensive team I would like, because we have turned it over so much and because we have had some stretches where our offense hasn't played very well.
What do they do that wows you?
I think we can shoot the ball. I think we've always been able to be a good three-point shooting team. We might not have some guys shooting some percentages we would like right now, but that doesn't change my confidence in their ability to shoot. So I think we have that ability. I think we have the ability to rebound the basketball offensively as well. But right now, it's finding a good rhythm offensively where we can pass and dribble, and those are the two probably skills right now that offensively we're struggling the most at, is the passing and the dribbling to get to the shooting, to get to the post play, to get to the rebounding. And that's where we're kind of getting exposed, with other teams' ability to kind of force us to make the passing and dribbling decisions that, quite frankly, over the past whatever, we've really struggled doing.
I know JJ and Joe had talked a little bit about this, but I was just looking at McCotch and what he did last year, and he shot 55%, and now he's shooting 38%, and then three-pointers 46%, and now 33%. Then you go to Mathis, 49%, now it's 43%, 47%, 44%. These are the guys that are coming back from last year. Kuiper's
Sure.
the same way. He is shooting a little better, but he shot so bad. But
Yeah.
have you ever had it where the guys you really are probably relying on,
Yeah.
because these guys have been around, you ever had this?
Yeah, no, I think obviously, look, I mean, it's been brought up before. I mean, I think everyone knows McQuatch is not, having the offensive year he did last year. Again, it's a little over half a year, so he didn't really even start playing well till, halfway through the year last year to kind of get those numbers. We still have a lot of confidence in him. I have a lot of confidence in him that I'm hopeful he can do it again, because he did it in some big games and he did it against some good teams, and he really proved himself. So you want to kind of keep giving him those opportunities, hoping that he's going to kind of get it back. He's a great kid. He means well. He's not making any excuses. He genuinely wants these things to happen, and so do I. So we've tried some different things offensively. We've tried some different practice ideas. We've tried some different motivational ideas, training ideas. We're doing a lot of different things to try and see if we can just kind of get him jump-started. I think it was the end of the Wyoming game when I came in. Like, we left him in the Wyoming game purely from the standpoint of seeing if we can get him low going, and he made some shots. And we're thinking, okay, like, every time he's had a game or every time he's shown a moment, it's like, okay, maybe this will be the moment we can kind of turn his season back around. It just hasn't necessarily translated to the next game or the game after that. So we just got to keep chipping away, much like our team, and coming up with creative ideas and ways to maybe get him going, because we need him. I think it might have been JJ's quote, like, we need McQuatch to have a good year for us to be a good team. We don't have probably the depth or the wherewithal or even just the experience without him to pull it off right now.
Coach, are you in the position to be able to talk about an addition that you made to your team?
Gosh, I don't know. So unfortunately, no. I'll find out though, and I'll comment on it as soon as I can. Yeah, I'll find out, and I don't know as far as enrollment, accepting into classes, et cetera, et cetera.
So for the most part, you are real measured in talking about the team with regard to your responsibilities. You mentioned in the post game about that maybe there needs to be some organic improve, that maybe more ownership or
Sure.
whatever, which is something that I hadn't heard you really say.
Agreed. I hate saying it, to be honest with you.
And then Jaquan Lyle, he put out a tweet that kind of, I thought, was somewhat consistent with what you said, whether you wanted him to do that or not,
Yeah.
I don't know, or whatever. But, you talk about X's and O's and press and zone and man. You've been around basketball a long time. Like, the element of ownership of the guys, obviously, is a huge percentage of what went on last year.
Yep.
How do you deal with that as a coach? Like, is it one-on-one meetings? Is it group meetings? Do you
Yeah.
identify a leader? How do you?
Man, that's a great question. That probably occupies my thoughts and occupies my meetings, more than anything. I think obviously what Jaquan said was something he says every day. So it wasn't a surprise for me to hear about or see, and it wasn't, I don't think, a surprise to his teammates, because he tells them the same kinds of things. And when I said those things after the UNLV game, I said it, like you said, after a lot of probably you use the word measure, but like, trust me, it's not easy for me to say that. I'm never and have never been a person that would ever look at something outside of what can I do? What can I make better? What can I do to make this team, my life, whatever it may be, better, and what's my own ownership in all this? And by saying something like that, I would never want to even remotely convey that this isn't on me, because it is. This is my program, and I make the decisions that go into a lot of things. But like I did tell the guys, like, I'm going to keep doing that, but at some point we're going to have something come from within. We just are. I can't keep pointing to all these different things, the press, the zone, the rotations, the who's the point guard, all these different things, and working on all those, trying to do all that, or trying to have these conversations about competing the way I want and being mentally tough and fighting for loose balls. At some point, there's going to have to be a similar message or something that comes from within that allows it to happen, because coming from above is clearly not kind of getting the response so far that we would want. That doesn't mean it can't still, and maybe at some point I'll hit the right chord and we'll get what we want. But at this point, like I told them after that game, and like I said it with the utmost caution and the utmost, like, it took me forever to even get to this point to say it. But it's from my perspective at this point, it's true, or it's how I feel, that we're going to need something like that in order to kind of get this team playing the way we want. Like, we want to be a good basketball team, and quite frankly, we show flashes of that right now. But overall, I don't think any observer will look at us and go, "Wow, like that's a good." Like, we're not. We're inconsistent, and we've got to find a way to become a good quality team in this conference that can compete for the conference.
Paul, you talk about the way you want to play. You want to get up and down. You want the guys to have freedom. So, with the changes, has it been harder for you? Whether it's timeouts, scripting more things, how's it been for you as a coach with what you want to do versus what you kind of have?
Yeah, it has been. We've obviously been through that defensively a lot this year, and we're going through it offensively as well, where you have an idea what you want the program to be about, because the way I wanted to play technically was not just a technical style of play. It was a culture to me as well. It was a team. It was everything I myself believe in and what I wanted our program to be about. The way we played offense, the way we played defense, the way we shared the ball, the way we pressed, like just making it about a group of people, not one person and not two people and not three people, but all of them feeling a part of it and just having good vibes, around the whole organization. But obviously, as that started to unfold, I was asking questions about, is this going to help us win the next game? Because at the end of the day, I'm paid or we're here to successfully try and win basketball games. So you go into a game thinking, well, maybe let's do this or maybe let's do that, taking away from the X and O part of it. And then you wake up and realize, well, shoot, this isn't what I wanted off the court either. And that's probably the internal battle that I've been going through for the past 2 months of, like, what's the best way to coach this team to win this game? What's the best way to coach this team to build a program? And then what's the best way to coach a team that's also going to, embody the values you want this organization to kind of be about, that you can be proud of and that you can say, yeah, this is who we are and this is what we're about. So that's a great question, a real question I ask every day, and one that I'm constantly balancing with regards to those areas. How can we win this game? How does this affect the overall team? How does it affect the program as a whole, and then our culture, and then where we're kind of going from here? And I guess I'm just kind of going day to day with it right now, trying to do the best we can.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.